It's so good to see you guys this morning and your smiling faces. And, it's said that in our life, the average adult will make 35,000 decisions a day. No wonder we get a little bit tired. So I want to thank you for making the decision this morning to get up, get dressed, and come to church. That is a decision that will pay off. Anytime you talk about somebody investing money, they want to know what their return on their investment will be. And I want you to know that serving God gives you the best return on your investment, hands down. When I was little, growing up in elementary school, long time ago, if you're around my age, you would hear and sometimes think about what life would be like in the year 2000. And I want you to know that living in Missouri, it's a little not as far advanced as some of the other states. But living in Missouri, when it turned the year 2000, I was disappointed because I had figured by the year 2000, we'd have jetpacks, there would be all kinds of neat things. And still in the year 2000, across the street, you can't get high-speed internet where I am. And now we're looking at 2020. Well, the futuristic people, that's actually a job that they have, the futurists, they will study and they will kind of plot where they think we will be by a certain year. And so for the year 2020, they thought that our lifespan would be 150 years old. They thought that trips to the space would be what we would give one another for Christmas gifts. Flying cars would be the thing that everybody had. A regular, fuel-injected car, one that ran on fossil fuel, would be no longer. Well, we're not where they thought we would be either. We're not as far along as we thought we would be. So what I want you to do is I would like for you to finish that statement in your mind. By now, I thought I would be or have. What is that for you? Are you where you thought you would be? Are you further than where you thought that you would be? Are you further away from where you thought that you would be? So the question is how did I get to where I am today? And how will I get to where I want to be? Those are two questions, yet there's just one answer. And the answer is that you will get where you want to be, and you got to where you are one decision at a time. It was one at a time. It was those daily decisions that we make that got us to the situation that we're in now. And it's the daily decisions that we will make that will get us out of the situation if we're not happy where we are. It says that life is the sum total of all of your decisions. We understand the ripple effect of a big decision. We understand if I decide to have a child, my life will forever take a different path. If I decide to get married, that will change the circumstance of where I am now. If I decide to get a divorce, that's going to change where I am. And all of those affect other people. But you don't have those big decisions without a whole lot of little daily decisions. We underestimate sometimes the effect of our small day-to-day decisions. So really, you can say that your small decisions make your big decisions for you. Example, who will I marry? Well, all of your small decisions will lead up to that. The decisions of who will I date? What am I looking for? What's important to me? All of those small decisions lead up to your bigger decisions in life. Our daily choices combined will determine where we're going to be 10 or 20 years down the road. The Bible actually backs it up. It's a law that they have, and it's called sowing, which is planting, and reaping. The Bible in Galatians 6:7 says that a man will reap what he sows. The Bible also says you are what you eat. When I was younger, that kind of confused me, but as I get older, I now understand that a junk food diet will give you junk food health. A healthy diet will give you better health. But it's the same thing as whatever we put in, that's what we're going to get out. When you sow and reap, so let's think of it this way. Every decision or every thought that you have plants a seed. And when the time is right, that seed is going to bring you a harvest. So many people have negative thoughts, yet they want a positive life. That will never happen. Why? Because the only seeds that they're planting is negative thoughts, which turn into negative actions. So since you always get what you plant, that means that we need to pay attention to our decisions. When I said that law of you will reap what you sow, how did that make you feel? Was that a warning? Were you a little defensive? What did it mean for the path that you're on right now? If you're making poor daily decisions, then don't be surprised when the life is poor spiritually and emotionally and perhaps financially. So for some, that sounds like a warning. Oh, I think I need to get another plot and plant some different seeds. The good thing is you're just a decision away from having a good harvest. It's those day-to-day small decisions that we don't even pay attention to that add up. When you're on a diet, you might think, well, it's just a cookie. But if you keep eating just a cookie every single day, you're like, how did I gain that weight? You didn't gain it that first time when you ate the cookie. Otherwise, we would stop. If I would put a cookie in my mouth and all of a sudden I'm bloated and there's 5 pounds, I would think twice about putting that cookie in my mouth. But it's slow. It adds up. So in this life of we want everything quickly, that's why the Bible says don't get weary in well-doing, because when the time is right, you're going to reap a harvest. So your decisions will pay off. They really will. But God says don't get tired of making the right decisions, because you're building something wonderful. When you start to work out, they tell you that usually it's a minimum of 6 weeks before you're going to see the results. You'll feel the results. You'll feel the soreness, the tightness, the I'm uncomfortable, but you don't see your body changing. But if you keep at it, just that day-to-day decision to take the steps instead of the elevator, park your car a little further out in the parking lot instead of right up next to the store, things like that will make a good return on your investment long term. So some of those, when we talk about you're going to reap what you sow, that's kind of a warning sign. Oh, I don't want to continue to have a life like this. But to others that's been trying to make the right decisions, that's a promise. And you're encouraged because you know that the seeds that you've been planting, that payday's on its way. So the point that I'm trying to make is the law of sowing, planting, and reaping, receiving, can either work for you or against you. But the good thing is wherever you are right now, you're just one decision away from a better life. If it's been a good life, you're still just one decision away from making it even a better life. I am the kind of person that it's hard for me to do a goal if we talk about even a day-to-day goal or a week-to-week goal, or if you talk about a year goal, that's really hard for me to accomplish it and stay focused. Yet I learned a long time ago that if I will stop and before I make any decision, I will say, will this get me closer to my goal or further away from my goal? And when I do that, then I reach my yearly goals because I broke it down where I could handle it. And that's what's true with life. All of your small decisions add up to a big way of life. The example that I want to use is John the Baptist. John the Baptist had a purpose and a mission in life, and that was to preach the word, to get people to prepare for the coming of the Messiah. That was his mission. And it was so great because he didn't have to wait till he was 70 years old. He was in his adult life, yet one day, I don't know if he woke up and felt something different in the air. I don't know if he was taken by surprise. But as he's preaching to his group of people and getting ready to baptize, out in the crowd, he sees somebody walking up. And maybe before he saw him, he felt a presence coming down the road. And what John said is when he pointed to him, he's like, that's the one we've been waiting for. Now, John the Baptist had a lot of followers. And he had told them about this promise of this Messiah coming. And so when Jesus, after he was baptized, a lot of John the Baptist's followers decided to follow Jesus. And in the Bible, it says that one of John the Baptist people, I don't know if it was a friend, but they said, hey, you're losing a lot of your followers. A lot of them are following Jesus. Does that upset you? Are you a little jealous? How does that make you feel? Oh, John the Baptist, no, he wasn't jealous. He wasn't upset. How did that make him feel? That made him feel gratified inside that he had completed his mission. He said, no, it doesn't make me jealous at all, because now I must decrease as he increases. So what if in our day-by-day decisions, we took John's perspective, his point of view? I must decrease so that Jesus can increase. So you ask yourself, before you make your decisions, does this increase God's presence in my life? Or does it decrease it? Is this more about me and what I need? Or is it more about his kingdom and the needs of the kingdom? It may feel like you're giving up something, but actually you're getting more than you could ever imagine in your entire life. Because God will not let you go unrewarded here on earth, and especially up there in heaven. But it makes a difference, your day-to-day decisions. You didn't just wake up overnight and you were in debt over your head and all of your credit cards maxed out. That didn't happen in one day. You got into debt, one charge, one loan at a time. So we get upset because we're not automatically just out of debt because we prayed. We quit charging, and that's good. But it's those day-to-day decisions that will keep you out of debt. It's those day-to-day decisions that will keep Jesus as a focus and the bigger part of your life, or keep you as the bigger part of your life. I have to remind myself so often, before I get ready to make a decision, is this what God is wanting me to do? Is this okay? And lots of times, God is so loving and kind that even if it's just something for me, so often he'll say, yeah, I want you happy. But other times, he'll say, no, you need to put that somewhere else. You need to invest your finances rather than building your kingdom. I want you to take this amount and I want you to put it over here into my kingdom. And you know what's great? Is every time that I've done that, my finances have been blessed. And it wasn't the reason that I was doing it, because see, if I do it just so that I'll say, okay, God, you owe me, you might as well forget it. Because you may receive some of those finances, but all of a sudden, all the appliances that you have is going to break down. Your car won't start. You got to take your animal to the vet. You got a tooth that needs to be pulled. So it's best to really mean it or not say it at all, but it's those day-to-day decisions. What if our controlling decision making judgment was, what does this do long term for me? And I'm speaking eternity. Because see, everything that we have here, it builds up to how we're going to be rewarded in eternity. So what does it look like when you have more of Jesus and less of you? See, when John the Baptist saw Jesus coming, he turned to Andrew. He made a decision to point Jesus out to Andrew. Andrew makes a decision to go to his brother named Peter and point him towards Jesus. That's how the gospel changes the world. One person at a time, making one decision at a time to point people to Jesus. So what happens when we do that? The world begins to change. It's one person at a time, making one decision at a time. So that should help each of you, because we're each one. We don't have to get 50 people together to think the same thing that we do to make a difference. We can make a difference. One decision, one purpose, one conversation, one encounter at a time. That's doable. I can do that when I break it down that way. So how do we know if our decision is going to be the best decision for us, since we have so many that we have to make every single day? Ask, does this decision line up with my long-term goal? Does it bring me closer to it or further away from it? And then ask, does this decision increase Jesus in my life? Your life is a sum total of all of your daily decisions. You can look at somebody, you can have two people side by side that are the same age, let's say 60 years old. One looks really good. They look healthy, they look vibrant. You're like, man, you look good for your age. And then have you seen the one that when they say they're 60, you are surprised because you swear they're knocking on 100 years old? What is that? That is the accumulation of their daily decisions. I used to hear my parents say, ooh, they had a hard life. And when I was little, I didn't understand how they knew until I grew up. And I'm like, well, you can see it on their face. You can see it in the way that they walk, because of choices that they made. Now, there are rare exceptions where it's a genetic thing, but still, even Jesus can help with that one. But you can tell the decisions that they've made in their life just even by the way that they look physically. So ask yourself, does each decision that I'm making, find out what your goals are, first of all. You need to know what you're going towards. And then ask, will this decision get me further or closer to where I want to be? Does this decision increase Jesus in my life? In other words, would I be comfortable making this decision if he was sitting right here next to me? If he heard every word I was going to say, if he saw every thought that I was thinking, and every action that I did, would he be comfortable? Would I be comfortable? See, that helps get the enemy off your shoulder with temptation so much more, because your focus then isn't just on, I've got to make it through the day. Your focus is on what's going to bring Jesus' presence more into my life. And the stronger the presence of Christ is in your life, the less the enemy can hang around. He has to go. He's like, I'm not comfortable. You've made Jesus comfortable, and I'm really uncomfortable in this situation. So it's one small decision at a time. That should give you hope. Because if your goal seems like it's so far-fetched, you don't have to get there in one day. You think, okay, first I just have to face that direction. And then I have to take a step in that direction. And step by step, one day you'll look up and there it is. Today, if you don't like where you're headed, it's not too late to change your path. You're just one decision away from a better path. If you like where you're going, then God says, great will be your reward. Your harvest will be grand. Focus on where you are and where you want to go. And God will help you. Just one decision at a time. I think that's doable. I'm so happy to know that your decision this morning was to come to church, because you had to make a lot of decisions. But the decision that you made to come to church this morning actually increased God's presence in your life instead of decreased his presence. And so I hope that helps you. With me, that's how I have to tackle things. I have to break it down into bite-sized pieces so that I can accomplish. Because I have some grand goals, and a lot of them, they look unattainable and they look impossible. And if I keep looking at how huge it is, then I might get discouraged, intimidated, and go, well, I can't do that. But if I break it down into my day-by-day decisions, when I lay down at night and I go over what I've did throughout my day, I can go to bed with a smile if I'm one step closer to where I want to be. So I know this wasn't a heavy revelation. I didn't solve a whole lot of biblical mysteries, but I'm hoping that it gives you something that you can apply to your life to get you down the road to where you want to be. And I'm so glad that you made the decision to come this morning so that I could see your awesome faces and tell you how proud I am of you and how very much I love you. God bless you.